Blake.
Blake, are you here? Here. Evening. Welcome everyone joining us. Public meeting. Council is committed. Always change in state law now allows us to conduct public video conferencing for all city council, planning commission, all places. You see that some members of council attend together here. Others don't. These do not attend. Will not be admitted. However, like council include watching channel 104, you have spectrum service. Channel 99, you have 8 for service. We're on the city's YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/be of mentor. You can live stream the meetings through the Mentor channel app, Android or Apple devices, or by accessing the City of Mentor website. You may also now watch using the video conference service WebEx, which many of you joining us this evening already know. To join us using WebEx, please access the City website and locate the link designed for the specific meeting you wish to join. In order to participate in this or other meetings, you must utilize WebEx from our website. While attending the meeting using WebEx, you will see a window open on the bottom right side entitled Q&A. If you are joining us tonight on WebEx, you will see this now. For this and future City Council meetings, this window will open 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting and will remain open for 10 minutes after the begins, and total 15 minutes. During that time, please type your name, address, and the reason you wish to address the council. You will also utilize it to indicate your wish to comment during a scheduled public hearing that appears on the agenda. At the appropriate time during this meeting, you will be recognized by the council president, and you will be unmuted and allowed to make your comments to council. If you are asked to comment on a public hearing, will be recognized during the hearing. Please note you are speaking for or against the item. If you wish to comment on an item on the legislation, all other comments will be heard in the meeting. Personal attacks and profanity are prohibited. Only your voice will be heard by council. Do not worry about anyone viewing your immediate surroundings. I'd also like to remind the public that they can always communicate regarding any matter related or unrelated legislative agenda by emailing the clerk of council. We'll ensure that all members of council test those messages, however, will not be read. Approval of minutes. Council, you have received the minutes of the regular meeting of March 2020. Have a motion. So moved for approval. Second. Good. Please call the roll.
Alex. Yes. Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Reaver.
Yes.
Mr. Landon.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Blake. Donovan.
Yes. March 16th, 2020 minutes have been approved. Public hearing. We have one public hearing this evening. This public hearing is being held pursuant to notice to be published, posted according to the law. Ordinance number 20-0-027.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinance. Section 117.
Provide.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. In response to council's concern,
Well, they don't even have a mic.
rezoning development plans that acted as part of the zoning, current law allows the planning commission final decision whether or not those changes, those development plans are in agreement or not. Approved. And that really the there was concern relative to council votes and oversight. Light of the fact that there are ultimately acts of legislation. So this amendment would only apply legislatively approved development plans or rezoning development plans or rezoning not implicated. And it would create a system where the planning commission make a recommendation regarding changes. Those recommendations that the council treat it as an amendment to the legislation. Decision-making authority on those changes.
We'll recess for a moment.
The meeting, this calls cut. One might have it developed.
Should we make a motion vote? Motion for technological recess. I think you're fine without a formal motion at this point.
That's what these guys, sound is not understandable, sound is bad,
Does that apply to every single?
sound is horrible.
Is that just where I'm seated though?
These are just notes of Kevin Malinchuk, audio is spotty, Jeff Vargas, sound's not working well, Benny says, sound is not understandable, both WebEx and on the Mentor channel. Larry Rastetter said, is the sound this bad on your end?
Kevin just entered, sound is okay right now with Julie, not with others.
Okay, we're good to go.
Oh? So we're going back into recess, 7:31.
Okay, we will come out of recess at this time. Thank you for the overview, Law Director. I see no one to speak for this item. I see no one to speak against this item. At this point, I close the public hearing. Council's receipt of all correspondence and emails pertaining to this matter. This public hearing is adjourned. Table legislation, we have none. New legislation, ordinance number 20-0-034.
An ordinance to authorize revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. This ordinance before you makes several appropriations, most of them minor in nature. The only one of particular note is the first item, which increases 1020, which is our GEO bond retirement fund from $9,882,021. The purpose of that appropriation is to simply pay off the debt that we refinanced. The key takeaway from this action is that with the refinancing of some of our older debt, the city will be saving approximately $700,000 in the process. Recommend adoption.
Council, what is your pleasure?
Mr. President, I would move to suspend the rule.
Second.
Julie, take the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Your motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-034 has been approved. Ordinance number 20-0-035.
An ordinance Isn't my fault. I've got Scott on my phone. An ordinance amending Part 1, Title 5, Section 151.12 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor 2006 as amended related to FLSA classification and pay grade for the position of GIS coordinator.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. And as part of the 2020 municipal budget, council did agree to create the position of GIS coordinator. What this ordinance does is place it into the classification schedule and establish a pay range for that position. This pay range is classification number 25, and at the present time, the city is not proposing to fill the position. We simply want to get a classification schedule.
Council, what is your pleasure?
Mr. President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne? Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. I would move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-035 has been approved. Ordinance number 20-0-036.
An ordinance accepting an offer to purchase for a 5.25 acre portion of permanent parcel number 16A00900000180 by Small Brothers LLC pursuant to section 189.05A and B of the codified ordinances, declaring the property not needed for any public purpose, identifying unusual and impairing physical characteristics that negate its marketability and the economic benefits of sale, authorizing the city manager to execute for acceptance the purchase offer and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. And this is the first of two ordinances that we'll address tonight that deal with a very important large-scale economic development project in our community. This ordinance requires the purchase of a parcel of just over 5 acres, which will be added to a parcel which is owned by Small Brothers LLC in order to make this development go forward. I'll be discussing a little bit more when we look at the next ordinance about the nature of the project. But essentially it's the construction of ultimately 3 buildings on this parcel. The appraised value of the property, which was done by a city's appraisal, was $126,000. The Small Brothers have agreed to that purchase price, and we would recommend approval.
Council, what is your pleasure?
Mr. President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Call the roll.
Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. Mr. President, I would move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-036 has been approved. Ordinance number 20-0-037.
Mr. President, can I interrupt you for 1 second? I got a
Mr.
text that,
Donovan.
I have a text that Ante, Bruce, and Ken need to mute their personal devices. That's what they're catching some feedback at home on that unit. All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a tax increment financing agreement with Small Brothers LLC relative to the construction of public infrastructure improvements and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. So the 5.25 acre parcel that council is agreeing to sell to Small Brothers LLC is located just adjacent to Sterling Court and Norton Parkway. On this larger development site, the Small Brothers are proposing to construct a 40,000 square foot, 2-story medical office building, a 120-room full-service hotel with restaurant and conference facility, and other infrastructure related to that purpose. The total investment is anticipated at this time to be approximately $37 million. And that will, of course, be done in phases, beginning with the construction of the office building. I will point out that the parcel purchase, which is the parcel itself that council just authorized for purchase, is actually a landlocked parcel. There really isn't much that we can do with that if it wasn't developed in private hands with a property owner. But it does contain a clawback provision in it, which, if these developments don't go forward, the city will be able to recover that property. So, as a part of this development agreement, we are agreeing to provide some public infrastructure, predominantly in the form of roadways, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and other utilities that serve the site itself. Those improvements will be capped at $500,000 for recovery, and those funds will be recovered through tax financing through this agreement. And Nancy, and any questions on that?
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. President, I would move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-037 has been approved. Resolution number 20-R-109.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to reprogram previously unspent fiscal year 2014 and fiscal year 2015 funds into the fiscal year 2019 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan and enter into sub-recipient agreements to continue to undertake the action plan and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. So what this does is it reallocates portions of funding from two older community block grants, the fiscal year 2014 and 2015. In total, $57,935 will be reappropriated in 2019 current fiscal year budget. $35,000 of that will go toward ADA sidewalk ramps, that are part of our pedestrian safety program. And the remainder, $22,935, would be used for ADA accessible doors at 2 entry points in our municipal ice arena. Ask for council.
Council, what is your pleasure?
Mr. President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. President, I would move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Resolution number 20-R-109 has been adopted. Second reading. Ordinance number 20-0-027.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the city of Mentor 2006 as amended, section 1137.08, to provide for council review and approval of amendments to legislatively adopted development plans.
Council, any discussion?
President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mr. President, I would move to approve.
I'm going to give a second, but let me make a comment on it first. If there's any change orders to this project, I think council should be aware of any change order concerning this project. And yes, second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-027 has been approved. Ordinance number 20-0-031.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Engelkey Construction Solutions for the construction of a maintenance and office facility at the Mentor Cemetery and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Kropiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. When we last read this the first time, there were a couple of questions brought forward by different council members. And I think the primary question was, what do we think the construction climate will be in the future? Is it wise, given the whole upside down nature of our economy right now? Is it wise to accept a bid not knowing what the future brings? So we reached out to several local contractors that we've done business with in the past, both on the commercial side of things and those doing manufacturing projects as well as some residential contractors. And the consensus seems to be that construction projects in the pipeline are still pretty robust right now. That it isn't likely, in fact, it's unlikely that we'll receive a lower bid if we hesitated on this. And so that's the best information I can offer you on that. I will remind council that we have received bond funding in the amount of $1 million for this project. The remainder, predominantly the remainder of the project will be funded through the cemetery maintenance fund. So this will not have any meaningful impact on our general fund right now. As council is aware, we are being, for obvious reasons, particularly sensitive to any larger general fund expenditures right now. That will continue. But given the climate, the fact that this is a good project for us, we would recommend approval.
Council, any discussion?
Well, I'd like to have the same caveat for this ordinance as far as any change orders to this project, the council be notified of.
President,
Yes, Mr.
Sure.
we should probably defer
Yes.
to the law director.
I've got a few comments.
We could, as to how he wanted to put this in as an amendment or stipulation, about change orders or.
Well, I guess it depends, Mr. President. I guess it depends on the nature of the change order. Some change orders are technical in nature that pertain to the manner of the construction. I take it the question may be change orders that may increase the budget.
Increase the cost, correctly.
Well, it's obviously it's approved at a specific dollar amount, and so to the extent the administration may want to incur costs, construction costs, and in addition to that, they have to come back and seek additional funding from the council. So there would have to be that opportunity for council's input and that discussion.
Mr. Flipiak, does the administration have any problem with close monitoring by council on this project?
Not at all, Mr. President. In fact, we'd be happy to keep council informed of any change orders. I don't anticipate any change orders of substantive nature that we can see. So when you get into something unforeseen, maybe get into utilities, underground, things like that, which we have a pretty good idea of what's there. So I don't anticipate any major changes. There certainly won't be any amendments or requests for amended changes to this that are of a nature that would increase the size or the any other qualitative aspect of the project.
The chair recognizes Mr. Moran remotely.
I agree with council's comments and also Ken's comments. When you go through a deep recession like we're currently headed in, if not already in, materials, labor, all those costs go up. What happens is that when you are in the process of building, you have problems finding raw materials, you have problems finding materials to build with, you have problems finding the workers that are now out of the labor force. Plus, with our short summers, you're going to run into winter. So it's definitely something that we need to act on sooner rather than later. And I agree with Ken's comments. Let's keep a close eye on it, and let's make sure that we're on top of it and get it done in a timely fashion.
Mr. President, I move to suspend. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marn?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marn?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ordinance number 20-0-031 has been approved. Third reading, none. Manager's report, Mr. Flipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. So we have a reminder to our residents that Waste Management is discontinued collecting bulk items and yard waste until further notice as a result of the pandemic. Only garbage and recyclables in Waste Management containers will be collected. In response, the city has set up a yard waste drop-off at Garfield Park. The hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. This program is for Mena residents only and no private companies. So we also understand that special waste collection programs operated by the Lake County Solid Waste District have not yet been canceled, but residents should check their website prior to taking anything to the fairgrounds. Last week, the police department contacted all those enrolled in our welfare check database. They were able to update the list and make contact with all those that are active or through a family member. Welfare checks will continue over the next few weeks. We ask the public that if you or a family member wants to be placed on that list, please contact the Mentor Police Department. With minor adjustments, the start of the 2020 construction project season has begun. Right now, all projects slated for the spring are currently moving forward with no changes to completion dates. Specific projects include the 2020 road asphalt and concrete repair, which is scheduled to begin the week of April 13th. Concrete sawing is anticipated to begin in Southeast Mentor on Monday, April 13th. Both the asphalt and the concrete projects have late August completion dates. Palmetto reconstruction project will start the week of April 20th. That completion date remains September 18th of this year. Concrete removal operations began last week on Tyler Boulevard for that resurfacing project. Full depth concrete replacement began last night. Work hours for that are entirely in the evening hours from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. We did have a lane closed today for a while because we had some concrete that has not set up properly. So as we do continue that testing, we will keep council updated on that. Traffic signal poles for the Menards Diamond Center intersection signal are tentatively scheduled to be delivered on or by April 30th. The signal is expected to be operational within 30 days of that full delivery. Beginning this week, our building department inspections will occur Monday through Thursday only, so no Friday inspections. Also, we will not be providing over-the-counter permits or registrations on Fridays, although we will accept planned drop-off. So the last message I have, council, for this evening is really directed to the public. For a city our size, we have always been heartened by the sense of community that our residents possess. We consistently come together during difficult times to lift each other's spirits. And judging by what we see around town and on social media, this time is no different. Our residents have been supportive of our safety forces and our local businesses. We greatly appreciate that. This coming Monday, April 13th, we ask our residents to display that community spirit by creating and sharing your inspirational messages in your windows, doors, and on your sidewalks. We have teamed up with our friends at the Mentor School District and the Mentor Area Chamber of Commerce to help spread this message over the next week. So grab your crayons, markers, chalk, and poster boards. Let's show Ohio what Mentor is all about and how we face a crisis together. So if you are taking pictures of your creative artwork, be sure to share those pictures online and include the hashtag In This Together Mentor and hashtag In This Together Ohio. And also just a final reminder to our residents that current updates on COVID-19 information are being posted on the city's website daily at cityofmentor.com/category/COVID-19. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. And it is encouraging in our neighborhood, we see colored chalk on a lot of the sidewalks, greeting the walkers that are out in numbers these days. Clerk's correspondence, Julie.
Council is in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court February 2020 monthly report. Council is also in receipt of liquor permit transfers for C1 and C2 class and carryout from Hasafano Inc. to OM Shivshatki Inc., DBA Wines for You at 7344 Mentor Avenue. That's all.
Commission and committee reports, meeting minutes. Community Arts Commission, January 2nd, 2020, and February 6th, 2020. Tree Commission, March 12th, 2020. Municipal Planning Commission, March 5th, 2020. Old Business.
President,
Mr. Donovan.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, and Mr. Filipiak and the IT department for all the hard work they put in to get this council meeting together, protect our citizens and protect council and everybody else involved. You did a really nice job, and I really appreciate all the hard work you put in, and I'm sure the community appreciates it too. Nice job.
Mr. Kirschner.
I would also think my colleagues, our colleagues also deserve a pat on the back. I mean, we've done a couple of dry runs with this already, and again, Ken and your staff worked very diligently to get this done, and Ollie and his crew, it's glad we were able to put this together tonight. Cooperation of everybody.
Also under old business, I noted tonight we forwarded funds in the CBDG from the Hope and Moving Family Forwards pots in past years. I'm just curious, question for the administration. They were zeroed out. Did those organizations not use those funds for any specific reason?
Are you talking about for fiscal years 14 and 15?
Yes,
President?
correct.
yes, the only reason that those would have not been spent was because those projects either didn't go forward or programs themselves just went away. Most of those funds that we reallocated this evening were from home improvement portion, and we simply haven't had as many requests for home improvement projects for LMI persons in the community, which is a good thing.
I would hope in the future, Project Hope is still operating, and I'm just baffled that they would not use an allocation for providing their services to the community. New business.
Mr. President, there's no other new business. I wanted to send a shout out to my son in Salt Lake City who insisted on watching tonight's streaming video to ensure that I had my mask, my gloves, my hand sanitizer with me. So, hello, Matt and Andy out in Salt Lake City.
He's gonna look like one of the Musketeers.
I need some ears.
New business, also we have the walk-on piece of legislation, ordinance number 20-0-038.
An ordinance to provide for conducting meetings of council, the municipal planning commission, and board of zoning and building appeals by video conference during the state of emergency declared by the governor pursuant to executive order 2020-01D and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I would move to suspend.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
One other piece of new business, I heard that ODOT and its road projects was actually able to work during the day because of decrease in traffic. I don't know if that's anything the city can look at taking advantage of to speed up projects or to get them moving sooner. That was a question to the administration.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. It's hard with my back to you. We actually had talked about that, and whether or not a lot of our work takes place during the day anyway. The Tyler Boulevard project is one of the few projects that is actually taking place in the evening, and we have talked to them, to the contractor, about the possibility of doing some of that work during the day, but we felt as though the section between 615 and Hopkins Road still should be done in the evening. That is still a pretty heavy traffic area during the course of the day because a lot of businesses that are still up and running use that corridor. But east of Hopkins, heading to Heisley, we're very open to the idea of allowing that to take place during the day, which should speed up the project. But most of the other work will take place during the day, our normal road projects. Because there's less traffic, it should require less traffic control and move along faster.
Any other new business?
President, if there's no new business, first before council.
Let me verify. I don't have the Q&A up, but I did not see any persons wishing to speak before council. Seeing none. Mr. Kirchner, what was your last comment?
I would move to adjourn. Second.
Adjourn.